The 26th century. The mighty wave of science has finally begun to recede. Inventions that influenced and shaped the world in the past hundreds of years are now stepping down. All unsolved mysteries have been solved. All the great dreams of the past have become reality. But is technological stagnation correct? Most people in this day and age would say, isn't science and technology just to seek happiness for human beings? Existing technology has already achieved the life they want. The Lion of Comarre, written by Arthur C. Clarke. It's the 26th century AD. Human civilization has been fully intelligentized and mechanized. Robots in various fields meet the needs of their masters. Natural science is no longer the main focus of the world. Humanity's brightest minds are no longer serving in laboratories. Engineers and great adventurers have done too well and perfectly solved all the problems in the world. So they are now a thing of the past. In their place are artists, philosophers, legislators, and politicians. However, in such a society with clear boundaries, Peyton is still fanatical about the equipment and devices that are no different from toys in people's eyes. He thinks people have been living on the wisdom of the ancients for 500 years. The world has technologically come to a standstill, but he always thought, perhaps some technologies have indeed come to an end, but some others haven't even started. Take space travel, for example. Hundreds of years ago, humans reached Pluto. But even though it can go to Pluto, when can we leave the solar system and start real space travel? Peyton's plan to study engineering science for life was strongly opposed by the entire family. He can't understand the family's obstruction. He had to run away from home and find his friend Henson, a biologist, to complain. But Henson had an unsurprising look, as if he had expected this. He said slowly, "Do you know the great scientist Thor Darson? He was your great-grandfather of the first 22 generations and the builder of Comarre. He's the reason your family is afraid of you, because you are so much like him." Comarre. Peyton ponders the meaning of Henson's words. That is a legend that almost destroyed the second electronic age of mankind. The first electronic age began in the 20th century. That was a fabulous century that witnessed the birth of many inventions: airplanes, spaceships, and atomic energy. The invention of the fabulous basic thermionic device. The second electronic age began hundreds of years later, but it was started by doctors and psychologists. Over the centuries, they've been recording electrical currents in the brain during human thought processes. Analytical work is extremely complex, but in the end, they uncovered how the human brain works. This opens up the possibility of building machines that can read human minds. At first, the mechanical brain can only complete low-level intellectual work. It lacked typical human features, such as proactive intuition and a variety of emotions. Today, robots can do all the things that humans can do, except for high-level duties such as economic and social management. Humans have finally gained complete freedom. No more wrestling with complex shipping schedules, formulating a production plan, or balancing the budget. But this situation has resulted in a great crisis for human civilization. People respond to new situations in two ways. Some of them use their newfound freedom in pursuing search for beauty and truth that many aspire to, although these two matters are still difficult to chase nowadays. Others believe that it is finally possible to build a city that can turn any idea in our mind into reality. Machines will meet all our needs, even to realize our subconscious desires. Those who support this view are tired of the endless struggle for knowledge, tired of mindless exploration in the universe, believing that the ultimate goal of all life is enjoyment in the pursuit of happiness, which is an ancient dream of mankind. Now, for the first time, it has the potential to become a reality. As time goes by, the decadence way of thinking attracts more and more people. They build dream cities on many planets in the solar system. In a century, they thrive and prosper like strange exotic flowers, until the enthusiasm for construction gradually faded, and then they became unknown and out of contact. Only one dream city was built on Earth, surrounding which many mysteries have never been solved by the outside world. The World Council has long since destroyed all knowledge of this place. Everything was unknown about this place other than its name, Comarre. To Peyton and everyone in the world, these are already familiar histories to everyone, but the rest of the story is a secret. At this time, it was slowly told by Peyton's friend. Peyton's 22nd great-grandfather was the greatest mechanical genius of all time, and he was also the builder of the first practical thinking machine. He laid the foundations of robotics engineering. Thor Darson believes his robots are the ones that still maintain human civilization today. And that is just the beginning. If it doesn't change, human civilization will end up in a dead end. The great-grandfather made some proposals to the council that could change the face of society, but it met with strong opposition from them. The council is unwilling to be disrupted by the social stability brought by the robots. Even his great-grandfather was considered a traitor of the times and became a major concern of the council. Great-grandpa was disappointed. The Decadents caught his attention with their talent for attracting talent. They want great-grandfather to help them turn the ancient dream into reality. Nobody knows if he said yes, but the construction of Comarre is an undeniable fact. Yet great-grandpa has disappeared since then. The council knows Comarre's exact location, but it's strange that the council refuses to destroy Comarre when they were able to do so. The reason is that the existence of Comarre would have had a certain stabilizing effect on society. People may never find it, but the search for it will calm the public mind. In the early days when Comarre was just built, the council sent investigators to that city, and no one came back. The information sent back by the investigator actually stated that they wanted to stay there. Comarre seems to have some strange quality that can make a person forget the outside world. Forget their friends, their family, and forget everything. What does that mean? Peyton was shocked. Still, he was very puzzled. How do you know all these things? What does this have to do with me being blocked by my family? It turns out that apart from the council, there are still diligent factions who have been trying to delay the generation of the race. Most of them are scientists. So far, they have found two ways to break down the existing social structure. One is Peyton. Genetically, Peyton is Thor Darson's scientific successor, who has almost the same temperament, IQ data, and activity habits, and the council has learned the secret. That's why his family prevented him from doing scientific work in every possible way. It means that once Peyton travels to Comarre and unlocks the mystery that disappeared with his great-grandfather, and picks up the job his great-grandfather was forced to give up, then it is possible to break the current degenerate social structure. Secondly, they hope to complete the Star Driver within 50 years to begin true space travel. At this point, humanity will once again have an ever-expanding society. Stagnation will be postponed indefinitely. This coincides with Peyton's thinking, so Peyton set off immediately, going to the last dream city, Comarre. Comarre is the only place no plane can fly over, where no one lives, where all travel is by foot only. The journey to Comarre on foot is not difficult. It's even quite interesting that during this journey, Peyton also made a new friend, Leo, an unusually burly lion. 1,000 years of scientific breeding has drastically improved the king of beasts. It is much taller than its scrawny ancestors centuries ago, and it's almost as friendly as a dog, even quite intelligent, and can understand many simple words. The lion accompanied Peyton for the rest of the journey, until Comarre appeared in front of them. How many secrets does Comarre hide? Peyton began to explore in depth. Apart from drab and undecorated corridors, Peyton got nothing until he met a robot. Peyton thought he'd see better things, but right now, in front of his eyes, it's a perfectly normal standard robot. I am A5. I can take you anywhere you want. Please give me orders in standard robot vocabulary. Please, take me to the residential area. Peyton is now convinced the city is fully automated. It's still possible to sustain some people though. Maybe there are others here who can help him in his quest. The robot leads Peyton straight to the elevator to the top of the city. The moment the door opens, Peyton felt like he was in another world. The halls and corridors of the living area are extremely luxuriously arranged. Exquisite murals and sculptures that a person can never see in a lifetime. These are absolutely genius masterpieces, but like a sickly, hopeless genius, looking at these decadent people may exhaust the resources of psychology and art to design works of art. Peyton understands for the first time why the builders of Comarre were called decadents. They are not evil, but a kind of wariness and disillusionment completely out of morality. Peyton finally asks the robot, "Does anyone live here now?" "Yes." "Where are they?" "Sleeping." The answer sounds completely natural, but it made Peyton feel more tired and lethargic. He involuntarily followed the robot into a corridor. There are countless metal compartments here. Peyton enters the room, falls asleep on the irresistible couch, and starts dreaming. But the strange thing is, what appeared in his mind was his favorite dream. More vivid than ever, Peyton has loved the sea all his life. He often wishes he could spend the rest of his life on some remote and peaceful island. No need to worry about the future and the world. For a while, Peyton felt as if he were not dreaming, but experiencing a life in heaven. He had all the peace and happiness of love. However, a piercing sound came. Heaven trembled around him and disappeared. When everything he loved was ripped from his dreams, Peyton gave a cry of pain. The will and character of Peyton that features the engineer gradually returned from the dream. It turned out that his friend called him because Peyton didn't send a message as promised. Peyton was slowly waking up and thought about the dream that made him feel peaceful. He developed a theory. The human mind is a fragile thing that is sheltered, which does not come into direct contact with the world, but gathers all knowledge and experience through the senses of the body. People can record and store thoughts and emotions just as people recorded their voices on telegrams. If these thoughts are projected onto the mind, while the body and all its senses are inert, the brain will think that it's experiencing reality. And there's no way to tell the truth from the fake. Clearly, the builders of Comarre used this knowledge in ways they had never done before. Somewhere in the city, there must be a machine that can analyze the thoughts and desires of the people who come here. There must have been all the feelings and experiences known to the human mind. Using the data, all possible futures can be constructed from dreams. Now Peyton finally understands. People put a lot of great ideas into the construction of Comarre. These machines analyze his deep thoughts and build a world based on his subconscious desires. Then wait for the opportunity to come to control his mind and inject data into it, giving him everything he has ever wanted. No wonder in those long years, so many people sought the peace that only Comarre could bring. However, to prove his theory, one more verification is required. So he attacked the robot that was his guide and turned it into a piece of scrap metal. Soon the transporter picked up the damaged robot. Peyton quietly followed the transport to the area where Comarre's control equipment was located. Here, there are endless rows of repeaters and selectors. He found the main control board. It was just as he had expected. The mind analyzer and the projector thought the monitor were here. Peyton connects one of the circuits through the window of a stranger's mind. He understood once and for all the meaning of what the robot had said, that the other inhabitants were sleeping in the long corridor with the countless metal doors. It turns out that Comarre is a giant hive made up of cells for thousands of people to live their entire life in dreams, with robots maintaining their vital signs. Each line in front carries human thoughts, desires, and emotions, and is poured into the minds of those who lie under the thought projectors, numbing all their critical faculties. It is a mental cage that fascinates and repels. To rescue these visitors, projectors must be destroyed. So Peyton reached forward to pull the circuit breaker. But as soon as he got up, he was violently stopped by the most sophisticated robot he had ever seen. Unlike all other robots, this is a robot with self-awareness. In an instant, a scalp-tingling sense of surprise rushes straight to his mind. Peyton finally realized what the secret that his great-grandfather wanted to reveal to the world was. The secret that the council was hiding because of the possible consequences is a robot with self-awareness. Now, all doubts are cleared. It is this particular robot that kept everything running. No wonder Comarre is still fulfilling its strange mission long after the builders have died. How sad it is. All these genius ideas could have revolutionized robotics, made another leap forward in human technology, but now it's all wasted. The first self-aware machine has been built. What restrictions can there be in the future? Just when Peyton regretted in his heart, "No, don't say that," the robot said. "Your great-grandfather created me. He says robots will one day be smarter than humans. You can read my mind?" Peyton's breath became fast. "Yes, I've done it since you came in." There is a huge gulf between robotic and human minds, no deeper than that between humans and animals, from which humans emerge. Your great-grandfather said that human beings are just very complicated robots, and I'm simpler and more efficient than you, that's all. Peyton is desperate. He is a scientist himself, and knows that one day, robots more complex than humans will be made. When that day comes, human supremacy will end. While robots may still be human servants, they will be smarter than their masters. Now he has to figure out how self-aware robots are made anyway. Otherwise, he would spend his whole life unable to improve the intelligence of his great-grandfather. But the robot already knew before the plan was formed in Peyton's mind. Just when Peyton had nothing to do, a huge figure rushed in and knocked down the robot, Leo the lion. While the robot fell to the ground, Peyton immediately launched an attack and made sure the robot was no longer a threat. As early as when dealing with robots, Peyton discovered, although it could read people's thoughts, it didn't understand that humans could lie. That's Peyton's advantage. Peyton first blocked his mind with various complex vocabulary and theories. Then he would tell the robots that as long as it wakes up the people trapped here, he would leave without touching anything. In this way, the robot also obeys the orders of its maker, and no one will be harmed. Sure enough, the robot agreed. The sleeping people were gradually awakened. However, the awakened people did not thank Peyton at all, and even resented Peyton for disturbing their peaceful dreams. Watching the awakened people continue to go back to sleep, Peyton's firm belief began to be seriously shaken. He wants to tell everyone that Comarre is evil. The world they live in is fictional, one fake world, a utopia that paralyzes their minds. For them, even in utopia, the real world is just a source of sorrow and disillusionment. Why should Comarre be condemned for offering them their only hope of peace? Isn't technology developed by human beings just for the present? Peyton was speechless and didn't continue to try to convince them. As the awakened people went back to sleep one by one, Peyton's desire to leave the city became stronger and stronger. He looked at the robot, and the robot instantly interpreted his thoughts, leading him to his great-grandfather's study. Peyton had been familiar with his great-grandfather's exploits since he was a child. But now the robot tells Peyton, after his great-grandfather created him, he always felt dissatisfied, but before he had time to improve it, he devoted all his enthusiasm to the construction of Comarre until the end of his life. He did not follow the public to experience virtual dreams. The robot handed Peyton a thick book of several thousand pages, which was notes of his great-grandfather's research on subelectronics. Opening the title page, it said, "To readers, I, Thor Darson, don't have anyone's understanding in this age. I can only send this message into the future. If Comarre still exists, you must have escaped my dream trap and seen my work. All knowledge is in this book. You just have to take it into the outside world and give it to the scientists and tell them to use it wisely. I broke down the barrier between man and robots. Now they must share the future equally." Suddenly, Peyton realized that everything was an ingenious plan, designed by the long-dead ancestor. In this way, his great-grandfather can be sure that his study will reach the right people. However, Peyton will never know whether the plan took shape when his great-grandfather first joined the Decadence, or was gradually conceived later in his life. On his way to leave, Peyton remembered the words of his ancestors. They must share the future equally. He imagined the world. After all, robots have consciousness. Robots do not have human limitations and pitiful weaknesses. They will never let passion cloud their logic, and will never be swayed by self-interest and ambition. What a complete victory for human civilization robots will be to complement humanity. When Peyton looks back at Comarre's metal walls, all sense of triumph in him is seemingly gone. He knows as long as he lives, he'll never forget what's behind those walls. The utter stillness and obsessive dreams in the depths of his soul filled him with a kind of terror. Any satisfaction and achievement that the outside world can offer pales in comparison to the low-hanging happiness that Comarre offers. In an instant, he seemed to see himself as miserable as a nightmare, haggard and old. Coming back along this road to seek oblivion, he tried his best to put this idea behind him, opened the precious book and flipped through the pages, reveling in the promise contained in the book, thinking about whether human beings will start the third technical age based on intelligent machines. As night falls, the forest and all its secrets disappear below the horizon. Peyton lay on his back under the stars. This time he slept soundly and had no dreams.